Hello and welcome to today's presentation, Optimize Your Transportation for Real Results. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kevin Bonser, Senior Product Marketing Manager at MercuryGate. Before we get started, I'll cover just a few housekeeping items. First, today's call, everyone will be muted. So if you have any questions, and we do encourage questions, you can put the questions into the Q&A window that's on your screen. We'll collect all the questions and answer them after the demo today. You will also find some helpful resources on your screen as well. You'll see a couple of documents that you can download for more information. Also, we're recording today's call, and the recording will be made available to all attendees. Today we're going to take a closer look at Mojo, MercuryGate's powerful optimization solution. With control tower visibility, Mojo produces real-world plans based on both your company's historical shipment data and the latest market information on rates and capacity. And Mojo makes this all possible on one platform, covering parcel, LTL, truckload, air, ocean, rail, and intermodal. With Mojo, you can optimize shipments across business units, locations, and customers. You can quantify your cost savings. You can determine the best carrier and mode. And you can create multiple alternative plans. For our customers who use Mojo today, like U.S. Cold Storage, it is helping them consistently improve operational efficiency and reduce transportation costs. And now I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Jim Davis. Jim is MercuryGate's Vice President of Optimization Solutions. He has more than 18 years of experience in the transportation and supply chain industry. For today's presentation, we're going to cover a few topics, including pooling, zone skipping, hours of operation, and what-if analysis. And now, I'll hand it over to Jim for today's Mojo demonstration. Go ahead, Jim.
Hey, guys. Welcome. So today, I'm going to go over several aspects of Mojo at a high level. Of course, there's much more that I can show, but in the amount of time we have, it's going to be a kind of a light speed introduction to Mojo. I'm just loading. Can you see me okay?
Yeah, we can see your screen, Jim.
Okay, great. All right, so first of all, Mojo is a transportation optimizer. It's simultaneously three things. One, it's a optimizer that's seamlessly integrated directly into our TMS. Secondly, it is a analysis tool. It's a very powerful tool that's commonly used in the sales cycle, as well as used for academic studies in universities, often by consulting firms to come up with ROI analyses. And then finally, it can also act via our API engine as a third-party optimization solution for another order management system or whatever. So I'm going to kind of go through some things at a high level. First of all, I'm going to talk about the seamless integration into the TMS. So Mojo is a standalone product that runs directly on a user's machine. However, it interacts directly with the TMS. So anytime you log in to the Mojo, you're able to pull data directly in from the TMS. You're able to have access directly to all of your contracts and all of the location information and all of those different types of things in the background and optimize directly. Of course, the expert forgot something. And so I'm able to get my contracts. I'm able to automatically bring in all my rates, any accessorials and fuel tables that are directly associated with it, and do optimization directly. And voila. Beyond that, I'm able to automate these things. So within Mojo, we have a concept called macros that can be basically recorded. And from macros, you're able to automate any of your user activities, something. So for example, if you had a run that you wanted to automate, you could have a macro and have it run through a scheduled task on your machine, and it would automatically run that macro or whenever you needed it run. Furthermore, you would be able to integrate the results from whatever optimization you did directly back into the TMS. I'm not going to do that just for demonstration purpose. I'm just showing you that it exists.
Hey, Jim, I'm just going to interrupt you just for a second.
Yep.
If you could just speak a little bit louder, maybe sit closer to the phone, perhaps. Hey, Jim, this is Kevin again. I just want to make sure if you can adjust your volume, we're not able to hear you right now.
Sorry, I don't know. I got on mute there. So from a what if, what was the last thing you heard? So from a what if analysis perspective, we are able to log in and see and make modifications to the inputs. So basically affect the heuristics of what we do within Mojo. So, you know, you can modify the maximum number of stops. You can change the way that you, the different strategies, the weights of a truck, the cubes of a truck, different types of consolidations and so forth. You can affect how you treat your dates in the system, impact the hours of service. So if you wanted to slow vehicles down or speed them up. Furthermore, you know, if you wanted to include fleet, and I'll get more into fleet capacity, if you wanted to assess what it would look like if you brought a dedicated or fleet into your network, you could take a look at that. Okay. So that was what-if analysis, and I'm not sure, my phone got on mute, so I'm not sure how much exactly you heard of that, but we'll move on to the next subject. All right. So the next subject is zone skipping, and this is actually something that we're starting to see more and more of, but effectively we see a lot of shippers, high-volume shippers that have traditionally done direct, small parcel, truckload, and LTL that are actually looking to line haul parcel goods onto big giant trucks across the country, and even to build multi-stops and zone skip effectively outside of their home base. There is an example of a major shipper that we have, and they do distribution, parcel distribution. This is kind of a really cool scenario. So what we have is we have a full truckload that is full of individual parcel shipments, and they have the volume to do this, but they effectively line haul everything to multiple hubs. So they ship things out of Maryland over to Salt Lake City, and then to two different, so they line haul to UPS, and then they go to FedEx, and then two UPS facilities. And then another neat little component to this, they actually do a transfer to the FedEx LTL terminal while they're at their own facility. So they effectively they have a cross dock, and they transfer freight from their cross dock over to the LTL facility. So it's kind of a two-way zone skipping. So they're actually zone skipping parcel, and they're taking goods directly to the LTL terminal. It's a great little money-saving thing that Mojo facilitates. All right. All right. So next thing is hours of service. So what I'm seeing more and more of in the industry now is when we do optimization, the requirements for accuracy are much, much higher than they ever have been. So, before we built like multi-stop truckloads, and, if you got close within a few hours, everything was great. But now we're seeing much higher requirements for accuracy. With these retailers, a lot of the retailers, they'll have concepts called, standing appointments. So Mojo allows you to predefine customer standing appointments, and so it actually look up locations and take into consideration the specific appointments that are associated with those locations. We also have the traditional hours of service, so you can defer or service the location service, so when locations are out or open and closed. And then also we have a concept of radial slowdown. So if, for example, you have locations that are in like New York City or Chicagoland or Miami, when you get close to those facilities, those trucks are going to slow down. So we have the ability to actually take a look at those locations, and when those trucks get close to those facilities, that actually slow the vehicle speed down. And so overall, the goal here is to try and get as accurate of a plan as possible based off of these inputs that affect ultimately the hours of service. Okay, and beyond that, we also have the traditional hours of service calculations, whatever those may be, and this can be defined at a global level. However, you can also define them at a lane level. So if you have lanes that are team lanes and that you have a different set of rules for team lanes, or if you're in other countries or different regions or have fleets that have, that they play by different rules, then you can deal with that as well. You also have the concept of vehicles and drivers, and we support driver schedules and driver hours of service. So for example, if Bob only worked Monday through Wednesday, the optimizer takes that into consideration when allocating drivers. Okay. All right. So one differentiator with Mojo is that it truly is omnimodal. So it really doesn't care if you're dealing with truckload, LTL, parcel. It treats them and has the ability to support all of them. So, looking at specific schedules for international or specific transit times for ships, dealing with multiple hubs and distribution points and pull points for port and ports. It can take all of the handling things that are needed for consideration beyond just being fully omnimodal, being able to calculate correctly the rates that are entered within the TMS or from your ancillary system directly. All right. Okay, so complex cross-docking and pooling. So this is something that we, I've worked on. This has been kind of near and dear to my heart the last couple of years, and we spent a lot of time developing out these features. But Mojo allows you to, one, leverage multiple, dynamically optimize through multiple pulls simultaneously, and it does true pull and cross-dock optimization. So we can do multiple things. We can optimize. We can choose specifically, a specific path that you want the optimization to choose, or we can actually do cost-based optimization where we assess all the different pull paths that it could possibly go through and define the best path for the optimization. Further, you're able to take into consideration the full supply chain simultaneously. So, for example, we could move freight from, optimize freight from Washington through a cross-dock in Portland to Topeka, Kansas, then through North Carolina, and then final it up into Maryland or New York or wherever, and of course taking into consideration all the service times, so taking transit time, handling time within the distribution centers, looking at all the rates and costing it out effectively, and then interfacing it directly into the TMS. It's a very powerful functionality that exists within this application. Another feature that we've recently added was the ability to do iterative optimization. So iterative optimization is much more complicated in that, as you can imagine, you have a very long lead time from getting something from Washington State over to North Carolina and then the final delivery. And by the time it gets to Halifax, North Carolina, the whole supply chain or inventory picture has changed. So what we do is we allow you to re-optimize as things move through the network and affect the net result. So, where day one, the move from Halifax, Wisconsin up to central Pennsylvania may look like a good idea, but as that inventory changes, I might just get rid of that truck altogether and put it on a multi-stop, or may end up shipping in an express mode, just depending on what happens within the supply chain. And also that allows you to take into consideration changes, and this happens all the time, and especially in the retail space where the demand on the order changes. So where on day one that might be a full truckload, on day 10, it's 4 pallets. So where it was a truckload, now it's an LTL move. So it takes all of those things into consideration simultaneously. All right. So next we have, it's kind of an augment of the fleet. And let me get back into fleet a little bit. So we introduced this concept fairly early, and what we call this is driver trips. And what this effectively does is it allows it basically, in traditional models, you would have a load that gets built on a fleet where the truck left a domicile, would go to its first pickup, it would complete a run, and then return back to its domicile. So what we did was we built a facility where it could go out to the domicile and then continually reoperate or re-optimize, so build trips, so it would stage at a location, wait for a demand for another order or another set of pickups to come in, and effectively it would re-optimize and build a trip. So this could be used in multiple ways. So if you had round trips, so like if you're a beer distributor and you had a truck that effectively just went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth between one facility to another, just basically delivering beer, then you could do that within the TMS, and of course taking into full consideration all of the hours of service and transit times and so forth. All right, and the last thing was static routes. So, it's kind of a bit of an oxymoron to say I want to do optimization, but I also have static routes, and it's just the reality of where we are. So with this, it's truly more automation. And what we've developed here, and it's kind of cool, is for these static routes where you have very predictable, you're doing the same thing every day. We've built a mechanism that allows you to basically make these things be no touch. Let me go ahead and build this real quick. All right, so what we've basically built here is we have a set of a scheduled path that we take, and effectively you define, it's a pickup, it's a delivery, or a drop, and the sequence that they occur and the specific locations they are. And so if anytime you see those and you optimize those, you'll automatically go to those locations. And then You also can predefine the appointment. So when your loads get created in the system, it will automatically populate the appointment based off of what you entered. So that saves the user from having to go in and populate that data. So the appointment will automatically be generated if you so choose. Not required, but if you want. And then finally, a couple more things. You can define the specific carrier, and then if you want it to be auto-tendered or not auto-tendered. And then finally, pre-populating the driver. So you already know the driver that operates this every single week or every single day. Automatically populate that driver information, just saving keystrokes. So effectively, and this example is really cool because we were able to take 30% of this customer's supply chain and make it zero touch. So they never had to, do any form of execution at all. It just ran seamlessly within the TMS and Mojo. And that is the content that I had for the overview.
Great, thanks, Jim. Now we'll take a few questions that we received during the presentation. Jim, the first question we have is regarding integration. You talked about how rates can be pulled in from ancillary systems. How does Mojo integrate with the TMS or with ERP systems?
Yeah. So if you use our TMS, there is a standard. All the integration work is done automatically, so there's no work for you, and it integrates. It's effectively a thin client. If you want to integrate directly with an ancillary ERP system, then we have a solution. It's effectively a middleware solution that it's called EdgePack that we can stand up, and it allows you to communicate directly with Mojo using web services.
Thanks, Jim. Another question we received is regarding ZAR Lite ratings. Is that something that's available in Mojo?
Yes, so we use ZAR Lite rating, and we actually use MercuryGate TMS as a conduit. So that acts as because it's a thin client. So if we need to set up a ZAR Lite rate, we can establish the discount directly within Mojo or the TMS, and then use the TMS to call out to ZAR Lite. So yes, it is supported.
All right. And a follow-up from the same attendee on that question was asking, also via rail, would all confidential quotes be included in Mojo?
So I'm not familiar with confidential quotes.
Okay. So for our attendee who asked that question, we'll research that and get an answer for you on that. And I'm just looking for any other questions, Jim. Do you have any final points you'd like to make about the Mojo functionality?
Well, basically, just like I said at the beginning, it's a best-of-breed solution. This is super high level. I'm happy to get people that are deeply interested in the TMS to take a deeper dive. Okay.
Well, Jim, we appreciate you providing the presentation today. I want to thank everyone for attending. As mentioned, we will be making the recording available to everyone very soon. And in the meantime, if you'd like to learn more about Mojo, you can visit mercurygate.com. And with that, have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.